Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Walk with Ease, week 2. I'm Melissa Cotton with the University of Missouri Extension. I hope you were able to get some nice walking sessions in between last week and today. But I want to take this opportunity to discuss barriers perhaps that you encountered in getting your exercise in or in reaching your other goals. And what successes did you experience, or how did that make you feel to be able to get some additional exercise in? So this is a great time to pause the video and discuss that in your group, or to wait until the video is over and you can do it then before you get into your walking for the day. But it's always good to talk about this amongst peers, because if you're experiencing it, probably somebody else is too. And we always want to rejoice the successes that we experience in life among friends. But now let's go ahead and jump into our lesson for the day. We're going to start by talking about the question of what do I do if exercise hurts, right? Because sometimes it may be a little bit uncomfortable as we're getting started. And people with arthritis do have pain and discomfort, and often this is their number one concern. All too often, it becomes a barrier to starting exercise or to sticking with an exercise plan. The pain caused by arthritis and related conditions can come from at least 3 different sources. One is damaged or inflamed joints and other tissues, and this is pain caused directly by the condition. Also, we can experience it because of weak and tense muscles. When a joint is damaged, the natural response of the body is to protect that joint by tensing surrounding muscles. And many people have weak muscles that just cannot handle that extra stress. Additionally, tense muscles themselves cause pain by building up lactic acid. And finally, fear and depression can play a role as well, because when we're upset or we're depressed, everything seems worse, including pain. And pain can cause people to be fearful of movement. So it is important to recognize that when we begin any type of exercise program, it may not be entirely pain-free. Exercise can be joined with some temporary discomfort, such as cramping or fatigue in our muscles while we walk, or maybe knee discomfort during or after walking, soreness around the ankles, or other types of muscle soreness in your calves and thighs after walking. This is normal and common, especially when we're first getting started. So some techniques for coping with pain and discomfort are listed here on the screen. There are things that we can do now and things that we can work on now, but are going to be more long-term solutions and may take a while to work and become effective. So let's look here. So right now, we can use things like heat or cold compress, or a gentle massage in the area that we're feeling discomfort or pain. We need to remember that 2-hour pain rule of, 2 hours after we exercise, if we're in more pain than when we started, we've gone too hard. And the next time we exercise, we need to cut back. We could use medications. Just make sure you work with your healthcare provider on that one. Focus on something else, use tactics to distract you. So maybe exercise with a friend. You can have some nice, good conversation going on, or listening to music, or maybe even reciting a poem or something like that in your head. We also can do things like change our self-talk, or reinterpret our sensations, or relabel our symptoms. These are kind of similar things where we're trying to take that negative mindset that we sometimes get into and flip it around and make it more positive. So instead of saying things like, my pain is so bad today and I don't think I can do anything, maybe saying, I do have pain today. I am going to focus on self-care. And here's how I'm going to do that, and just kind of making it into a more positive twist. This may take a little bit until it works, but keep practicing, keep trying. And long-term coping techniques are to maintain an appropriate weight, to use elastic supports or braces, to use a walking stick or cane, and to use a shoe insert or orthotic. We also want to pick the right surface. So there are different types of walking surfaces that affect our exercise intensity or how hard we're working, and thereby how hard our foot and our joints are coming down and hitting the ground, and even our balance. So up on the screen, you see level 1. It's a flat, firm surface, things like school tracks or streets or sidewalks. Level 2 has some incline, maybe some stairs, a little bit of uneven ground. And some examples would be sand or gravel or soft earth. And level 3, it's very hilly, very uneven. Maybe you have some loose gravel or lots of stairs. And so individuals with arthritis, we want to really stick to that level 1 surface, but definitely chatting with other people who have arthritis or similar conditions to see maybe what's worked for them, and go from there. All right, so this is a suggested walking progression chart. And last week, I recommended 10 minutes of walking, and people could do more and they could do less. But essentially, you can just enter this chart wherever you are now. So if you are at the 10 minutes, okay, stick with that this week. But then every week after, I want you to try to work towards 5 additional minutes of walking until you get to that 30 to 40 minute range. Okay, so if you're at 20 minutes already, you're already doing 20 minutes of walking. Okay, this week I want you to try to add 5 minutes more in your walking session and just build up until you do get to 30 or 35 or 40 minutes of walking. And always remember that warm up and cool down no matter what. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about comfortable and safe walking. We went over some of these serious danger signs last week, but again, watch out in yourself and in others for severe pain, pressure tightness or pain in the chest, nausea, difficulty breathing, dizziness, severe trembling, or lightheadedness, as these are signs of a serious condition. We need to handle that properly. So look out for it in yourself and others, and please let someone know if you're experiencing that. We also want to watch our exertion levels. If you have any of the following symptoms, slow down immediately. These are signs that you are overexerting yourself. So we want to cut back on your walking intensity or duration the next time that you exercise. So things like cramps or stitches in your side, a very red face, if you get pale all of a sudden, profuse sweating, facial expression showing that you are in distress. If you see someone who looks like they're in a lot of pain, they probably are. So check on them. Extreme tiredness, and then again, that 2-hour pain rule. And then a few other things, know your body's normal reaction to exercise, listen to your body, kind of get used to how you respond. So that way, you know when something is off. Going to the bathroom beforehand can always help, but make sure you don't go without drinking enough liquids. We really want to rehydrate our bodies. Even if we don't feel thirsty, we still need to replenish our bodies with water after exercise, especially too if it's really hot out or you know that you're going to be walking a long ways. Take water with you, put it in a fanny pack or a backpack, or just carry a water bottle in your hand or something, because you do need to be replenishing drinking water as you work out, but definitely afterwards and even before. We have to replenish that water we lose through that perspiration and our breath. And always have a plan B. Things come up right now, the weather, it's so hot outside. So have a plan B of something that you can do if the weather's bad, or if maybe one day you don't feel good. How can you change your plan and still be able to get your exercise in? There's different videos and things that you can do inside. A good walking video on YouTube, if you look up Leslie Sansoni, she has some great indoor walking videos. You have classes there that you can take. So just have a plan B just in case. Almost always we need a plan B. And then finally, pace yourself. Remember that symptoms of arthritis come and go. Exercise may feel really easy one day, and then the next day it's really hard. So if that happens to you, just kind of cut back. And then when you're feeling better, you can come back to your normal, regular activity level. Additionally, we want to talk about some good body mechanics as well. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate a little bit. When we walk, we really want to make sure that we keep our head up, that we're looking out. It's important to look out into the distance to see what's coming, like uneven ground, something that's on the ground to prevent falls and tripping hazards. But we do want to make sure our head is held up, not too far, not like we're jutting our chin out or we're looking really far down, because that puts our spine, our neck, in an awkward, not so great position that can cause us a lot of pain later. So head held high, like you're nice and confident in yourself. We also want to make sure that our shoulders are relaxed, not hunched over, not up towards our ears or anything like that. And sometimes when we get to walking, we just kind of forget about paying attention to all those different things our body's doing. So every once in a while, it's a good trick to just take those shoulders and roll them back and down. Okay, roll those shoulders back and down, get them away from your ears, just relax. And so every once in a while, I like to do that to remind myself, okay, I need to lower my shoulders because I tend to raise up and get tense when I'm exercising. Also, watching our breathing. A lot of times we like to take really quick, shallow breaths from our chest. So I want you to try to take that breath and pull it from a little bit lower in your body. So breathing through our diaphragm, more of our stomach than our chest, getting a deeper breath. If that is hard, because diaphragm breathing is a little tricky when we're standing up, just making sure that you're taking nice deep breaths instead of really shallow breathing if you can. Stomach muscles should be tight, so we want to keep that core nice and tight. And if you just think about doing, standing tall, nice, good posture in your upper body, that's naturally going to happen where those muscles tense up and tighten a little bit. Arm swinging. Sometimes when I see people walk, and it's easy to happen. You kind of maybe will see people every once in a while swinging their arms more out to the side as if they were rocking a baby. So this is not very good body mechanics. It's causing you to use a lot of energy that doesn't need to be used in that way, and maybe taking away from the time that you're able to walk, and can cause pain and things like that as well. So I really want you to think more about tucking those elbows closer to your side and pulling those elbows back and forth rather than side to side. Along with that, we don't want to keep our hands clenched in fists. That causes a lot of tension in our hands and forearms and can be painful, definitely after the fact. So I kind of like to hold my hands like this as I walk. And that helps me keep my fingers out, relaxed, no tension, no squeezing or clenching in that. You can, do your middle finger too, or just keep your hands stretched out, not too stretched, but keep those fingers loosened. And then finally, taking regular natural steps. So if you notice that when you're walking, maybe your hair or your ponytail or your hat is like bouncing up and down a lot, that's an indication that you are taking too wide of steps. Your stride is too big. And so we want to bring those legs back together and take a little bit smaller steps. Because when we take those really big strides, it actually puts more pressure on our hips, our joints, our knees, and this can cause more pain after the fact. And so by taking smaller steps, we take some of that tension away, that extra pressure, and we might be able to recover easier. And so, as we get fitter, it is very natural for people to want to take bigger strides. So I caution you, just as you increase your fitness, to really pay attention to that and shorten up those strides just a little bit. All right, so next slide, we have monitoring our exercise intensity. So we want to stay, within that moderate level where we can kind of talk through our exercise. So that's where that first bullet point, the talk test, you should be able to carry on a conversation with a friend or with yourself, and that lets you know that you're in that moderate range. So if you can't talk, if you're too short of breath for this, then you may need to cut down, slow down. Also, kind of thinking of it, another technique you can use is the perceived scale of exertion. So on a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being super easy, like not hard, no effort really, and 10 being the hardest work that you could do, so hard you could only do it for about 30 seconds. We want to be somewhere in a 4 to 5. Okay, so if it's easier for you to think of it like that, making sure you're at about a 4 or 5 on a scale from 0 to 10 in terms of how hard you're working. If you want to monitor your heart rate as a third option, you can read more about that in chapter 5. And then measuring your fitness level. It's good to do this so you can kind of keep track of your progress over time. So some ways that we can do this, we can measure how far we can walk in a set period of time. So maybe we decide 10 minutes, and then we go for a walk and see how far we get. And then a few weeks later, we have that same amount of time. And then we see if we can walk any further, and you can kind of measure it that way. Another option is to walk up a specific distance and see how long it takes. So maybe I'm going to go to the track and walk 1 mile and time myself and see if I can decrease that time over. I can decrease my mile time over time, if that makes sense. And then measuring your heart rate after a certain amount of time that you've been walking. And so again, looking at chapter 5 for more information on that. So here's a quick peek at that 5-step walking pattern we're about to embark on. We got to do our warm up, our stretch. We'll go into our exercise, and then we have our cool down and stretching at the end. So for our warm up, I want you on your own, whether in place or if you're going to go around the track or the room, I want you to slowly and gradually build up the speed as you do your warm up for about 3 to 5 minutes of walking. And then I'll meet you back here for our warm up.